Takkar is a year-long test series program with 146 tests. This program is especially designed for UPSC CSC prelims and mains exam. It has 4 phases. Phase 1, pre-cum-mains test. In phase 2, we conduct tests exclusively for the prelims exam. And in phase 3, we will conduct tests for mains exam. And in phase 4, we will help you to prepare for interview through interview guidance program. So why to wait? You can enroll for it now.
Welcome everyone. Today we are going to discuss PYQs, question number 11 of GS3, Civil Services Main 2002. And the idea of this lecture is not only to share with you the model answer to this question, but also share with you a kind of model answer which you will get in the Takkar test series. Takkar test series, as you know, is a year-long test series being run by the Lukmaan IAS. We want to assure you it's a very high quality product. Let me use the word high ROI on your educational efforts. If you will, if you will write this test answer, we want to assure you you will get the best feedback in the market. Okay, and see, without writing test, without doing answer writing practice, it's very, very difficult to, I will say it is impossible to qualify civil services examination. So let's move to this question. This question was about labor productivity and capex. Let me show you. Okay. This is the question. Okay, question number 11. See, the model answer, okay, it is in around 500 words. See, the idea of this model answer not only is to share with you how to write, but it is also informative in nature. Now, one thing you have to remember, let's say if you get a right answer like this, nobody in this world can stop you getting 115 plus marks in GS3. That's what we want to assure you. Not only that, even if you write 80% of this, let me make a statement. If you write, this kind of model answer, it will take many, many years of hard work, but yes, even if you write 80% of this quality, 150, nobody will stop. But see, one thing you have to understand the process. Let's say this model answer has been written after reading many reports, then thinking, maybe 7-8 hours of thinking, then these thoughts came. So you have to understand the process. So you have to know, okay, this is the way you have to arrange your thoughts. These types of points you have to write to get good marks. But do not forget the process. Process is that you have to read those particular economic survey chapter, that NCERT chapter, maybe some human development report. So let's start with the question. Economic growth in the recent past has been led by the increase in labor productivity. This is what they are talking about. And then explain this statement and suggest the growth pattern that will lead to creation of more jobs without compromising labor productivity. Let me tell you, some simple economics before that. I move into this model answer. See, what happens if those who are economics students, even if you are not, you must know this. Let's say there is a function, y. This is called your production function. This is dependent on 2 things. Capital, right, which is assumed to be constant in the short term, and the N is labor. Okay. This is your cost, and this is capital. But constant in the short term, that bar indicate constant. So, and why it is generally called national income, and let's say statistical discrepancy, and there is no depreciation effect, though national income will come to GNP. You know those things. So, given this background, so can you see both your labor productivity as well as capital expenditure, both are important to what is happening in India, not only India, in many countries. Generally, people become, let's say you invest in more in knowledge, so you become more efficient, right? So the growth in GDP is coming mainly through the labor productivity, not by the creation of new jobs. And that is a problem. Okay, so India has to come out of that trap. And that's why now you understand why UPSC asked this question. Because UPSC focuses on the important ideas. What is happening in the economy, you must know. So to answer this question, it is not necessary that you have to study microeconomics, no. But that idea should not miss you, and that comes through by reading economic surveys and observing things around you. Let's say I have written this introduction. This introduction may not work for you, but you will get finally good marks. If you write if you have understanding of economics, then you can write such introduction. What I wrote, classical economists, mainly Adam Smith and David Ricardo, suggested that production function, which is also a measure of economic growth, is influenced by both capital and labor, right? And so this is see, you could have also written something, but okay, this shows your understanding the concepts. So let's say if you do not have a background in economics, do not try to write this kind of introduction. And then you are saying for balanced growth, India needs both high capital expenditure as well as high labor productivity. And what are the, then they are saying explain this statement. So now you are talking about the facts, which is collaborating to this. Now what is happening in the agri sector? Agri sector, it's around 17 to 18% of GDP, but the employment is still is around 50%. It has come down, if you read Economy Surveys 2023, I think it is 48, 49%. See, you do not have to remember exact number, but that broad idea should be there. Okay, you should not worry your mind. Okay, it is 47, 48%. No, don't worry. Just remember the range. You have to do extrapolation. Let's say I can predict in 2024, 25, the maybe percentage of people involved in agriculture would be around somewhere between 45 to let's say 46%, and more or less I can say this with 99% poverty. Fine. So what is happening in the agriculture sector? Your 18% GDP is still maintaining, with that 17-18%, but the number of people involved has come down from 59 to 48% in the last decade. Right. So okay, I think we have not. I have not mentioned the have decreased from. Okay, so here you must mention the decade. In the last decade, such thing has happened. Somebody may ask, during when it happened. So it in the last decade, in the last 10 years, 59 to 48%. This is so now you understand. See, the GDP contribution of agriculture is constant, around 70 to 90%, but the people involved have decreased from 59 to 48. So what is going to happen? Labor productivity is increasing. Fine. So now let's see. Now second thing is, see, UPSC also asked this PYQ, I think in 2016-17, that due to informalization, LPG era, there is okay, due to liberalization, there is an informalization of jobs. This kind of question was there. You please see 2016-17 question paper. So, and this is happening. So there is non-security of jobs. There is no permanent jobs now. Very limited permanent jobs. So, and due to this, employees feel under pressure and they become more skilled. Okay, this is also one thing. And second point, you can also mention rural India. See, in rural India, which used to create agriculture jobs, now their employment growth rate is negative last decade. Try to understand, youth is no more attractive to those, agricultural jobs. They want some, and manufacturing India for all its goodness, make in India, skill India, you have to understand. These programs have been able to enhance skills. But if you go into the details, do you find it being, watershed movement is creating lots of jobs? No, that is not happening. Only thing good happening is, I will say, people's skill are rising. When they do some training, some ITI they are established, so their skill profile is rising. But to say that, they are getting jobs in manufacturing, no, that is not happening. And this statement should not be taken as, criticizing somebody, but this is a fact. Even say, if you see the US growth trajectory, it is not that only India moved from agriculture directly into service sector. No, even in the US, see, people are mainly involved in service sector. Only 1 or 2% people are involved in agriculture. Manufacturing job sector there in US also is very, very narrow. Because human nature, humans do not prefer working in manufacturing sector, right? They want white collar jobs or some service sector jobs. That is the reason. Fine. Third point. India's economic growth largely skipped the. Okay. So when you move from the agri to your service sector, there is positive externality. Positive externality, you understand. Let's say you create a. Let's say there is a ban on tobacco consumption. So positive externality is good health. Okay. So, but due to all, see what happened, India moved on, took a jump from primary to tertiary sector, but the jobs did not create. The jobs were not created. The gainful employment thing did not happen, except one thing, that some ITBP sector white collar jobs were created, and they were for the elite class, and some frontline workers. Okay, they got some jobs. And within, see, you criticize that in India labor force participation rate is urban female is very, very low. But see, this is an important observation. Within service sector, women participation is more. I do not say in absolute number, but the rate of growth of the women labor force participation rate of urban female is rising. So, and you can observe it. Let's say some a restaurant is open, so maybe a woman can get some job there, right? Maybe in front, maybe a shopping mall is there, right? So you observe this, you can corroborate with the data. So that's why in service sector, women labor force participation of urban women is rising, although it is, but when you compare to the world data, it is lowest among the major economies. See, this is very, very important. See, this point is so important. Even Economic Survey 2022-23 mentioned this point. What they say, there might be some problem when we say labor force participation rate of not only urban, even rural women is also low. So they talk about survey structure. Let's say some woman is involved in collection of wood or household work, so they are not considered employed. But the economic survey is questioning this rationality. What they are saying is the woman is woman is adding value to the household. Why are you not considering any employment? Fine. Okay, this point should go. Maybe this should be second or third point. What they are talking about, the employment elasticity is only 0.1% in India, and employment elasticity, like price elasticity. So here, what is it? Change in employment to change in the percentage change in GDP. So it is very low. Only, let's say when your GDP will increase by 10, there will be only one employment created. Fine. Okay. Now, and it is low compared to the global average during the last 2 decades. Now, see, technological revolution is also, I will say, laying off many people. Now, do not see Chat GPT and all those things. AI, they have very limited. I think Chat GPT and AI taking away jobs, that is not a big phenomenon. Big phenomenon is like you see Excel sheet, calculators. They have taken away. I assume the device like calculator, Word, Excel, right, and automation at many security points. They have taken away many jobs. See, Chat GPT, they have taken white collar jobs. Okay, but again, those high skilled jobs, workers, they will create their own competencies, and they will more or less remain secured. See, once you increase in that knowledge profile, your job security becomes very high. You have to understand this point. Okay, so this is the way you can say machines sometimes have a high level productivity and they can replace the semi-skilled worker. Let's say this is surgeon, and they use robots for, let's say, operating a patient. See, the robot can only help that surgeon. That is super specialist. That robot cannot replace that surgeon. So it will supplement his skills. So you have to understand. But what happens is the low skill profile, mainly with the frontline workers, the automation completely replaced them. Okay. So if you remember, there was a book written by the World is Flat by Thomas Friedman. Thomas Friedman also write. Nowadays, I think he's not writing, but earlier he used to write for New York Times. For New York Times blog, actually, when you go to the opinion section of the New York Times, many writers write, but Thomas Friedman and Paul Krugman, they are very famous. Okay, if you are following, Professor Paul Krugman will bring the, even entrance very complex economic ideas in simple terms. And there is a limitation on them. They have to write in 800 to 1000 words. That is similarly the way you have to write in UPSC essay paper, right? One essay you have to write in 1000 words. So I will recommend you, see, those essays are not very much useful for UPSC, but once in a while, let's say what you can do, you go to New York Times. Okay, and search their India opinion. So in opinion section, you will find the articles on India. So do not read just let's say something meaningful related to syllabus. If you read those articles and jot down those points in your notes, I think it will help you. Fine. But again, economic surveys are more important than reading those articles. Fine. Growth. Okay, now they are talking about the growth pattern that will create more jobs without compromising labor productivity. Fine. So now see, what is the problem? The people are not investing in, investment is decreasing, right? Both public and private investment in infrastructure is happening, but not sufficient. So the first thing is creating the sustainable and employment generating infrastructure. Now there are schemes like Manrega and National Rural Livelihood Mission. See, these are poverty alleviation schemes. Can you imagine, do you expect people to go and dig holes? We understand there is absolute poverty and persistent in India, but no, India cannot accept this. See, these kind of schemes should become past memory. See, in next at max 10 years, there should be no poverty in India. Let's say at max 50 million people living in poverty, not more than that, right? And they too should not live in absolute poverty, maybe in relative poverty. That is the aim. See, those kind of thought you have to write in mains, right? Then let's say you are investing in educational infrastructure. See, one thing is you can just simply write, okay, investing in this. But let's say you are expanding your point. You are saying mainly primary education to fulfill 3 hours. No need to explain 3 hours. Professor will understand. Those who have read, education policy, they will understand. Suggested by the National Educational Policy, and this will also have achieve SDG 4. Fine. So then the professor will immediately connect. Okay, this guy has done some reading, and this is the way you can write your answer. Now in India, this was a famous report. If India male and female employment rate has to come equal, then India has to create 235 million more jobs. And this, I think this was in 2017-18. So now already 5 years has happened. So maybe more than that, maybe around 250 million jobs India has to create. If how India can get these jobs for women especially. The first thing is they have to invest in social and economic. See, they have to invest in education, health. Till you do not get better educated women, why somebody going to employ them? Right. So that is the intervention you can talk about. See, here you are not talking about. When you are writing, you are not talking about creating industry. See, industry, big, those things. First, you have to start with the village level. Okay, the first problem is of farmers, agriculture laborers, then vulnerable section. This is the way you have to start your answer, your thought process for women, right? Do not directly jump to, okay, we invest, we establish an expressway. See, those, even schemes like National Infrastructure Pipeline and PM Gati, those are fine. But start from the village level. Your thought, see, when your finance minister, when he gives his speech, he or she gives his speech, they more or less, they started with farmers or laborers. So that should be your also thought process, right? Okay. Okay, now promoting entrepreneurship mainly through cooperative societies and SHG. Cooperative society, now is a fundamental right under Article 19. Okay. See, now, when the self-help, vulnerable men and women came together through self-help group, they have more bargaining power and they are able to overcome their, absolute poverty condition. You can give an example. Let's say public distribution system is there. In many states, they are handing over to cooperative society. If India will do this, it will create employment. Fine. This is the way you can connect. Similarly, promoting integrating farming system. Okay. Now, to create an integrating farming system, integrating farming system, what it is, pursuing, let's say, agriculture is also there, fishery, poultry, right? So for that, some investment is there. Okay. Government has to give some loans. Okay, some agriculture loan. There are many schemes, right? Through that. It will be a digression. What happened with the Mudra scheme. Now, former RBI governor made a statement, Professor Raghuram Rajan, it is going to be another NPA. See, I think this is not a wrong statement. See, just giving somebody 1 lakh rupees or 50,000 loan and you think you will, no, that is not going to happen. See, the systems are more important. Money is fine. Okay, you give somebody 50,000, 1 lakh rupees loan, but what about the systems? Economic and social systems. Otherwise, those 50,000, 1 lakh will be gone in, in 2-3 months. So creating system is very, very important. Fine. Maybe sometime you will you might like to read a few essays by Professor Amartya Sen and Professor Jean Dreze. Try to read it, and if you get time, try to read this book, Poor Economics. Okay, and do not think it is an old era book, although I think it was written almost 15-20 years back, maybe more. Yes, almost 20 years back. It is by Professor Abhijit Banerjee and Professor Esther Deco. Then you will understand. Okay, they came, they did all those survey in Rajasthan. Okay, they took the data, they studied them. See, you have to imagine what was motivating them to observe people from vulnerable section, poor people, tribals. See, it is not. You have to understand. They came, they lived this way, they observed, they collected data, and they were so motivated. And then came this book. So you have to understand that their motivation level. When you read books like this, see what happened during UPSC preparation, even for GS4, and when you read, do not read too much outside thing. You know what your syllabus is, but once in a while you must read books like this. Fine, that will help you refine your thoughts. Okay, now urban growth. See what is happening in urban. Urban growth is normally the main determinant of poverty elevation, right? And within urban growth, what is the construction job? People moving from farm sector to construction job. That is the main determinant of poverty elevation in India. Okay, but see, you also know there is one more phenomenon. I think urban poverty. Now, 1 in 3 poor people is living in urban areas, and their deprivation is different. See, deprivation, what kind of deprivation people are feeling, having, and analyzing those, and accordingly developing public policy and let's say subsidy structure. That is very, very important. Why I say so? You must take time to read this report, Multiple Poverty Index. It is developed by UNDP and Oxford, right? Oxford University. Okay, and it talks about the multidimensional poverty, and people living in multidimensional poverty are much more than living in the absolute poverty. Absolute poverty people are around 600 million, but these people are around 1.2 billion, in 2022. So every year they publish report. So try to read 2022 Multi-Poverty Index report by UNDP and so there they have talked about kind of deprivation people are facing. Let's say the deprivation with South Asia, mainly Southeast Asia. In India, the deprivation is mainly related to nutrition. Okay, nutrition. It is actually there are 4 things. One, nutrition is there. Let me see. Let me recall. Okay, there are 4 things: nutrition, cooking fuel, sanitation, and housing. Right. So there might be many kind of deprivation. Other deprivation could be like cooking fuel, drinking water, electricity. But in India, these 4 kind of deprivation are very, very high. I'm repeating: nutrition, cooking fuel, sanitation, and housing. Now, suppose, see, even knowing this fact is not important. But the idea is you understand that every region, whether it is Sub-Saharan African region or maybe Arab Asia, right, or maybe South Asia, they are facing different kind of deprivation. For example, in Sub-Saharan area, electricity is a big deprivation. Sanitation is a big deprivation. In India, nutrition, cooking fuel, that is a big deprivation. So you will design policy according to those deprivation parameters. Fine. This understand. See, if you write these such points, so that will reflect your deeper understanding. Okay. So let's say you are creating a socio-economic system for employment opportunities. So first you will see what kind of deprivation they are there. So accordingly you will design those socio-economic systems. Fine. Now you can invest even in a smart city. See, the right to city is now is the right. People will say, why am I going to live in villages? Right? No, I want city. So you have to create city. You have to create city, not slum centers. So this is very, very important. So the smart city mission rests on the development of smart villages. In fact, this was also a question in, you see, 2014, 15, I do not remember the year. Even this was an essay topic. So see, when you see using those previous question, you can use those statements in your notes and write answers. So now what you're saying, the promotion of this triple I is your SDG 9. If you're reading 17 SDGs, so SDG 9 is your. So this is required in Indian cities and villages. So if you develop industry infrastructure innovation on the basis of tenets of SDG, that is what required. So then you can write an example. Let's say you want inclusive development. So inclusive development, let's say you're talking about the vulnerable section. Let's say tribes you're talking about. Within tribes, you will say, I'm more concerned about the women of vulnerable section, right? Let's say particularly vulnerable tribal groups are there, right? So you will say, okay, within those groups, I'm more concerned about women. Now, see, why you could have kept this, see, it depends upon it. It is nothing wrong in keeping this point in at 6 number. Let's say every day you're reading newspaper and things like this will come in your mind. Okay, nation infrastructure pipeline, PM Gati Shakti. But the UPSC question is not, see, it is not just only current. You have to reflect your holistic understanding. This infrastructure pipeline is fine. It will bring infrastructure. It will help develop infrastructure. But the main thing is, again, you have to start from the rural India, farmers, laborers, right, women, tribes. So this is what, you know, national infrastructure pipeline is a mission to, it is an umbrella scheme, and it targets, if I'm not mistaken, rupees 111 lakh crore over the next 5 years till 2025. Okay, and it is an opportunity to take India into see. Okay, here it is the meaning of this word. When you say upper middle income country, let's say you write in double quotes in UPSC, professor will immediately understand, because as per the World Bank, this has a meaning. The country can move, when the country moves into upper middle income, some see, they will lose some perks, and they will get, and they will lose some perks. For example, Bangladesh, and I give an example. Bangladesh has an agreement with European countries, anything but arms. So somebody says, why the textile trade from Bangladesh is so flourishing, but from India it is not flourishing, because Bangladesh has an agreement with the European countries, anything but arms. Without, other than arms, they can trade anything to European countries at a very low subsidized rates. Okay, so tariffs are not so high. But if, let's say, India is in this, India moves into upper middle income group, then India will lose those perks and privileges, right? If I'm not mistaken, India is still not getting those perks and privileges. Okay. So what we are trying to say, this growth due to infrastructure should be inclusive and not jobless. Development is endangered if it is not endangered. See, this was also your essay topic. Now it came naturally. See, it is not just some copy paste. No, it came naturally. Once you have read those reports, when you have gone through the essay topics, it automatically those ideas will connect in an answer. So see, you have to decide what kind of a statement you are going to use in your answer. Fine. Now let's see this one. India must also take a leaf out of the Human Development Report 2015. This was the report, Work for Human Development. What it says, see, now it is not necessary for you to remember this statement which we have written towards, but you can remember the idea. What they are saying, the notion of work is broader than and deeper than the jobs. So youth has to focus on work. See, work is more important than jobs. Let's say his mission is there. Is he doing 9 to 5? I talk about the good mission, not not this superficial mission. Some like Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, Ustad Bismillah Khan, right? Those are very they involved themselves in some job? No, but they became one of the best humans India had. Okay, thank you very much.